further pressure on food inflation because of the deficient and uneven monsoon, thus potentially aggravating inflation and inflation expectations.
The monsoon is going to be bad and they don't take decisions immediately. This year is a washout. If this year is a washout, next year again is not going to be good because you can't recover. Then we can kiss the next term for UPA goodbye.
It's now official. Several states in India are facing a drought. Hello and welcome to We Mean Business. The question we're asking on the show today, is India prepared to deal with a drought and how badly will it impact growth? Let me introduce our special guest on the show today. We've got Dr. K Alagh, Chairman of the Institute of Rural Management, Anand, Mr. Madan Sabnavis, Chief Economist, Care Ratings, joining us from Mumbai. Also Mr. Surinder Sud, Consulting Editor of Business Standard. With me here in the Delhi studio, Ranjan, Senior Manager, Policy of Action Aid. Mahesh, Palawat, Chief Meteorologist of Skymet. Also with me here in the Delhi studio, Prof V S Vyas, Member Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister and Deputy Chairperson of the State Planning Board of Rajasthan, joins us from Jaipur. And Madan Sabnavis, Chief Economist, Care Ratings. Thanks so much, all of you, for being with us here on the show. Before we move forward and discuss how badly will India be impacted by the drought this year, let's first take a look at some of the impact that we're going to see on inflation and growth.
Parched fields and worried farmers, but the skies have refused to relent, with a long period average for rain expected to be less than 90%. The Planning Commission has estimated that growth will be cut by 50% to 6% for the current fiscal and emergency measures being put in place.
सूखे के संकट में जो लोग आए हैं और जिनकी खेत पर कोई बुआई हुई नहीं, उनको रोजी देने के लिए एम्प्लॉयमेंट देने की जो बात है, इसमें आज के जो रूल्स रेगुलेशन है, इसमें कोई रिलैक्सेशन देने की आवश्यकता है. इस तरह की डिमांड राज्य सरकार ने की और ये तीनों सब्जेक्ट में राज्य सरकार की जो अपेक्षा थी, जो डिमांड थी, वो पूरी करने की बात हम लोगों ने की है.
Karnataka, Gujarat and Maharashtra are the worst hit states after the weak monsoon. India's last drought year in 2009 saw rain that was 23% below normal. It drove food prices that in turn sent headline inflation into double digits and triggered a series of 13 interest rate increases between March 2010 and October 2011. Yes Bank has estimated that 10% shortfall in monsoon could push up inflation by 40 basis points. Nomura expects the government's fiscal deficit target to spill to 5.8% from the target 5.1%. The impact of the weak monsoon on companies is clear. Mahindra & Mahindra has cut tractor sales growth for the year between 5 and 6% from 10 to 12% earlier. NDTV Bureau Report.
All right, but the new Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has already pressed into action a number of steps. Let's listen into what he had to say about how the government intends to deal with the drought.
Unfortunately, the southwest monsoon has been below expectations. Drought-like conditions have been reported from several states. It is a duty of the government to provide relief to the people living in drought-affected districts, protect wage employment, and save agricultural production to the extent possible. MG Narega and other schemes will be converged to meet the challenge of drought. Contingency plans are in place to supply drinking water and fodder and to help farmers replant alternative crops. We must seize the opportunity to build durable assets that will provide employment to the poor as well as help in drought-proofing agriculture in the affected districts.
Dr. K Alagh, let me start by asking you, how badly do you think the drought will impact India? It really couldn't have come at a worse time when we're already battling a slowdown. The government is trying to really revive the economy, and now we're faced with a drought-like situation that will clearly shave off more percentage points from an already very, very bad growth number that we're looking at for this year.
I don't think that the growth question is the most serious one, because Kharif itself is a little less than half of total output, and even if the growth rate is not there, maybe there will be a very small decrease in agricultural production. We don't know what Rabi is going to be like, and I don't think that will affect, really the growth rate will be affected more by what Mr. Chidambaram does in the non-agricultural sector. But I think the question of prices, particularly of volatile food prices, pulses, edible oils, milk products, these are all the kind of products where the inflation is can be 10% plus, and they will probably get affected in a very serious manner in this Kharif until the Rabi comes in. Although, mind you, the points that the FM made, which is something that we have learned from the mid-80s drought of the last century, that if you release grains, that by itself has a deflationary effect on the economy. So a lot depends on how you manage the economy. I think it's important to release grains, rice and wheat particularly. It's important to manage the import part, because it's the inflation which worries you. There are also the welfare effects, which is the employment question and the drinking water question. And fodder means less income. Fodder scarcity means less income for very poor farmers. But those are welfare effects. I think your question on the macro effects, I still think that the bigger issues lie in the macro reform that we are talking about, and India has learned to face droughts. We have had good growth rates in years when we have had droughts during the last 15 years or so.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.